Greetings everyone, and welcome to LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at old retired LEGO themes. Today, an episode I've had on the back burner since LEGO Rewind's return, 2007's Mars Mission. Not to be confused with the 2000 Master Builder's Mars Mission set, or 2001's Life on Mars, one of the first themes I covered on LEGO Rewind, and one of my favorites. Yeah, my first go at Mars Mission wasn't exactly glowing, but I gave it another shot. Like a few themes from the time, Mars Mission is set during an energy crisis. To get back on their feet, humanity sends space miners to retrieve Martian crystals. An incredible investment for some glowing green rocks. But they are not alone. Mars is already taken, not by Martians, but by crystal aliens. We'll call them Crystalians. It's a new gold rush as two worlds lay claim to the red planet, but things may not be as simple as they appear. Set-wise, Mars Mission is pretty dang impressive. This was an era when LEGO builds were not necessarily bigger, more spread out. LEGO is condensed over time, a combination of deceptively high part counts inflated by itty-bitty pieces, and stronger building techniques making sturdier, heavier, more detailed, but also more compact builds. They did a lot of cheating in those days to create massive constructs like this that are surprisingly light. They aren't completely empty though, just efficient. This one has a removable build with another removable build inside that. It's like a Russian doll. These Wave 1 sets have a slightly unfinished look, but thanks to some clever coverage, good use of these big cargo tubes, and some heavy greebling including Bionicle pieces, this looks great in an in-universe way. Like they were totally unprepared and had to convert these mining machines to be combat ready on the fly. The colors are bright and simple, big orange elements like the tires grounding them enough in the setting that you could swear you see the planet's orange surface. I also like that each human vehicle has a different animal logo on it, similar to Halo's human vehicles being named after animals. The alien ships are all sharp dagger-like lines and organic curves, feeling much more complete, streamlined, ready to scream out of the darkness of space. The markings also feel oddly ancient, like this is an old, cultured species. The simplistic alien minifigs are completely exposed, so their homeworld's atmosphere must be similar to Mars, though I could also see the direct connection to some of their ships being a control/life support system. Years ago, some buddies and I came up with a naming scheme for these alien builds. Nothing the aliens themselves would say, like Nick Flat Blarney Quando Flu, just code names the ignorant humans would use to tell them apart. We came up with a dozen total: Halberd, Stiletto, Bayonet, Bolo, Hatchet, Spade, Kukuri, Box Cutter, Chakram, Shiv, Butterfly, and my favorite, Spork. The two factions are divvied up pretty evenly, for now. The humans have a bit more stuff, but the Crystalians have a constant presence, and typically when a set is dominated by one faction, they'll throw in a side build for the opposing one. This conflict in a box, or combat in a box, is used a lot in action themes under the assumption that most kids will only ever afford or be allowed one set from a given theme. I'm sure some of you had parents who'd go, "No, we already got that one." So if a kid only ever has one Mars Mission set, or one Monkey Kid set, then by golly, it better have all the ingredients they'll need to tell a complete story, with an inciting incident, a conflict, and a resolution. This can be annoying for collectors only interested in a certain part of a set, who don't want to pay for all those side builds. And I do see LEGO overdo it sometimes. But I do think it's a good philosophy, for every set to give a complete impression of a theme. To that end, my favorite human-focused set is the MX-71 Recon Dropship. It's like a plane, but spacey, with hardcore details and a ton of adjustable parts, even the cockpit coming alive like a big head. And one of the more unique alien builds that looks great for a chase scene through a canyon. You see what I mean? You have a whole story right there, in one box. Mars Mission would continue for another year. 2008's human builds feel much cleaner, bulkier, more filled out, a step towards LEGO's more recent direction. They're also way more militarized, like we knew what we were getting into this time. These advancements tell me humanity's been fighting these aliens for a while, at least a decade. The alien builds haven't changed much, though I'd say the shaping is a bit more creative, and the lovely rainbow markings and a larger cast of aliens feel more grand. The ETX Alien Infiltrator is my favorite Crystalian set, just a beautiful shape, and you can even stand it up like a War of the Worlds tripod. We'd see a more overt reference in 2011's Alien Conquest, but I like the subtlety of this. One of the human-sized later highlights was the MX-81 Hypersonic Operations aircraft. Interesting that they'd clarify it's an in-atmosphere vessel and not a spaceship. And the huge reverse airplane wing is pretty iconic. But its most impressive feature is a dock that acts as a stand, leaning just enough to prop up this huge heavy thing so it looks like it's flying at a glance. I wish more LEGO ships had integrated flight stands, submarines included. The Ultra Drill Walker is one of the most impressively built-up LEGO drills I've ever seen, and, this is starting to feel a little one-sided, isn't it? While the first year split was decently close, the second year was definitely in the humans' corner. This is another fairly modern LEGO trend, the presence of villains being more limited over time. These days, it's normal for heroic characters to get giant mechs and other contraptions, while the outclassed villains maybe get one decently sized set focused on them, and then be relegated to side builds that are just enough of a nuisance to check the combat in a box. And there's a good reason for that too. Kids don't like bad guys. They want to play with the heroes, and they want those heroes to overpower the bad guys quickly and easily. Most of the time, the bad guys are just there to give the good guys something to hit. It's mostly older weirdos like me that want things like a giant evil nightmare shark ship. And it's kind of amazing for a new theme like Dreams to actually have good bad guy representation. Anyway, let's talk about the story of Mars Mission. It's hard to say what exactly Mars Mission is. Some fans theorize it's a sequel to Life on Mars, since that was only a few years before, and its arrow tubes are reused here. This time sold with giant lame Nerf guns, but compatible with every human set that includes these canisters. The theory goes that after helping the humans fix their shuttle and get back home, the Martians were invaded by the Crystallians. The Martians could have been driven underground, evacuated to Earth, or wiped out in the interim. But I think this theory just kinda sucks. Not every story needs to be part of some big shared universe, as much as LEGO likes to do that. I think Mars Mission functions better as a spiritual successor than a direct one, but the way the official story goes depends on the media. Some seem to imply the Crystallians settling on Mars a long time before we got there, but I personally prefer the LEGO Battles story, where they just crashed on Mars and need crystals to escape. This is the most sympathetic view of the aliens, with their sad noises and frail jello-like bodies. This is just Rock Raiders backwards, and we sympathized with those human aliens gathering crystals to go back home that time. Why should we be any less sympathetic towards these aliens in a similar predicament? They haven't even made a move against Earth, and why would they? They're what, a few hundred, couple thousand at most? While Earth is right there, with an army in the billions. Not to downplay how expensive space travel is. For these crystals to even cover the cost of obtaining them, those astronauts better be digging up the good stuff. But seeing this endless stream of ships, tanks, and jets ferried to Mars, I have to wonder how many of those crystals are actually being used on Earth. We could be burning through the last of our resources just to show those aliens who's boss. Then again, what may ultimately seal their doom is one easily missed detail in the Crystal Reaper set. A captive Crystallian hooked up as an alternative energy source. Makes me wonder if that table in the First Wave's Eagle Command Base was for dissection to see if they could be used this way, and all those tubes were the same sleds for transporting crystals also used to imprison these? Oh, we're just harvesting the aliens now. They're screwed. I was dismissive of this theme a few years ago, thought it was too simple, too black and white, but LEGO may have created one of the most fascinating lines owed largely to that freaking video game. Reminds me of another time something similar happened, but I understand this isn't really how the story goes. In other media, the aliens aren't stranded, they're just straight up evil, because they look scary, and their ships look scary. With LEGO's history of framing rock monsters and other rock monsters and mutant stingray people as evil for defending their territory from invading humans, I respect the restraint of not making these aliens native Martians and expecting us to root for invading humans again. It'd be pretty messed up if we flew over to their solar system and strip-mined one of their neighboring planets under their nose. But does that make it okay for us to literally bleed them dry? This may be one of LEGO's darkest themes, and it gave me a lot more to talk about than last time. While some of the parallels between Life on Mars and Mars Mission show how much LEGO can up their game in just 6 or 7 years, and this is a very meaty theme, I still enjoy Life on Mars more. I just prefer the friendlier atmosphere. There are fewer sets, but there's more variety in the colors, a more fleshed out Martian culture, more fleshed out characters on both sides. I love the modularity between sets, and seeing different factions come together rather than fight. Still, as far as a pure action space theme goes, Mars Mission kicks all kinds of asteroid. I feel very differently about the theme than I used to, and I'm glad to finally set the record straight. That's it for today. Check out my books on Amazon and itch.io, and my Patreon page to get videos like this early, your name in the credits, behind the scenes content, a patron Discord server, signed copies of Planet Ripple, and even your own LEGO Rewind episode. See you next time. Toodles!
New LEGO Mars Mission. On planet Mars, astronauts are on a mining mission and setting up the new LEGO command base. But they are not alone. Now it's in your hands to operate the pump system, load the space shuttle, switch on the weapon systems, and save the command base. Only you can defend the mission with the new collection from LEGO Mars Mission, each set sold separately.